We're in the initial stages, really focused first and foremost on the victims.
10 names now known. Bering Air Flight 445's pilot and passengers never making it to their destination in Nome.
The NTSB knows that villages like Nome and Alaska Aviation are tight-knit communities, so this tragedy affects so many.
We're family, and that is something that I really appreciate about our Alaskan community.
Communities now mourning those who died.
It must be extremely heartbreaking for the families.
And through that heartbreak,
Norton Sound strong.
Northwest Alaska communities coming together.
We were all here to support Bering Air. There's the signs even. Wow.
Irregardless of what happened or what occurred, as their customers, we're going to continue to support them 100%.
All while paying tribute to lives lost. As the NTSB chair said, Bering Air Flight 445's crash is being felt as a tragedy for so many Alaskans. Our team is standing by as we're now learning about the lives of the 10 on board. But first, Alaska's News Source Investigates Johnson Kuhn has learned about a more specific NTSB investigation timeline. Johnson.
Try to tell me. The NTSB's Alaska Regional Chief told me this afternoon, as we learned the wreckage is now being housed at the Nome Airport. The investigation, as they often do, is likely to take at least a year, but it's really too early to tell. Clint Johnson says part of that process includes sorting through various crash components. A key focus will be examining the distress signal device known as an emergency locator transmitter, or ELT, which he says has now been recovered. Johnson says that the NTSB is working to understand why it failed to give off a signal when the plane crashed. As the wreckage, he says, is in the Nome Airport hangar, while they work to determine what will stay there and what will be sent to a lab in D.C. Johnson also detailing a difficult recovery process.
Obviously, this was a unique accident even for us up here. As far as the location, the fact that the airplane was moving around on the ice is something that our folks in the lower 48 never deal with. We deal with it once in a while up here.
A Department of Public Safety spokesperson told me late this afternoon the bodies of those who were on the plane were transported to J-Bear and then sent to the state medical examiner's office on Saturday. NTSB leaders continue to say they're aware of the ripple effect this crash has created for so many across the state, and investigators are working to provide answers as soon as they can. NTSB, along with Alaska's delegation, will host a joint press conference tomorrow to address ways of enhancing aviation safety in Alaska. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's News Source.
While so many are processing all of this, for loved ones of the 10 on board Flight 445, they say the pain is fresh and raw, but through the pain, they wanted to share memories of who they lost. Our Georgina Fernandez continues that coverage.
Adelmi, here are the pictures of most of the 10 people who were on board Flight 445. We are still working to getting more pictures, but take a moment to see who they were as family members are sharing some memories. That includes Leon Ryan's husband. She was an educator on her way home from a work trip. Her husband described her as a science geek with a deep passion for her faith and education.
The back of her car was full of rain gear, snow gear, you name it, for an adventure at any time.
Unalakleet School Counselor, 48-year-old Carol Mower. Her family described her today as a giver, but a deep passion for cooking and the arts.
She was very into sculpture. My mom would display her sculptures all around the house. But she just did everything she touched, had a bit of artistic flair to it. So she could really do anything.
Also on board, 34-year-old Unalakleet resident Talulu Kachigtag, his family describing him to us as a goofball, but found joy in everyday life and loved to explore the ocean and tundra. 46-year-old Ron Baumgartner from Alaska Native Travel Health Consortium, who you see on your screen, had traveled to Unalakleet to service a heating system critical to the village's water plant. Baumgartner's family tells us they're still in shock. He was also traveling with his co-worker, 41-year-old Karen Harbigson, whose family said they're not wanting to talk right now and need time with their family. ANTHC leaders remembered the two men as passionate, committed to the mission of helping people across Alaska who lost their lives serving others. We also spoke to the daughter of 58-year-old Donnell Erickson from Nome, who told us she is now working on securing his home in Nome. And in South Central, 52-year-old Eagle River resident J.D. Monker died in the crash, and we're still waiting to hear back from his family, along with Wasilla resident 30-year-old Andrew Gonzalez from Wasilla, whose father wrote on Facebook that he's angry, sad, and heartbroken regarding his son's passing. We will keep you updated on our website as we continue to hear from loved ones. Adelmi.
And from remembering those lost to supporting Bering Air, photos and videos have been pouring in from around the Norton Sound region of communities gathering together to share messages of love and support for Bering Air pilots. Many are using the hashtag Norton Sound Strong on social media to show their support.
We just want Bering Air to know that we're 100% behind them and that we're going to continue to fly with them.
That feeling very strong because Bering Air has such deep Alaska roots. They service more than 30 rural communities and resumed its regular flight schedule over the weekend. Our coverage expands right now on our webpage and mobile app. An update to a story we brought you Thursday out of Utavik. Letters from the mayor's office say one officer has been fired and 3 other officers placed on leave after a 17-year-old's body was transported through town on a sled after he died by suicide. The mayor's office says they remain focused on maintaining trust and implementing reform. Complete details on our website and mobile app. And turning to weather, our stretch of mostly clear and calm weather continues in Anchorage, but out west, another storm is on the way. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry has the forecast.
Yeah, Delmy, we are seeing again widespread sunshine for so much of the state, but it's the Aleutians through the Bering that already has that next area of low pressure brewing. High winds today through the Aleutians, and those winds are going to push north. We do have a high wind warning in effect for the Yukon Delta heading into tomorrow. Also a winter storm watch in effect for the slope. That's where we could see blizzard conditions later this week, Wednesday and Thursday, and still seeing some more snow pushing across Seward Peninsula heading into tomorrow. Temperatures at 30 degrees there now, 19 in Kotzebue. It's warmed significantly on the slope into the teens now, 0 in Fairbanks. And we are going to see temperatures dropping well below 0 again overnight tonight throughout the interior, only dropping into the teens for most of South Central. Tomorrow we'll see clearing conditions again from the slope through the interior into South Central and Southeast as well, where high temperatures will get back into the mid-20s. And I'll have a look at your full extended forecast, which does include the chances for some light snow coming up here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Melissa. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Still ahead, experts say a volcanic eruption near Anchorage is possible but not imminent. We have the details from the Alaska Volcano Observatory ahead.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Welcome back. After our national investigative team showed us how more than 12 major airports around the country are sinking, meaning major repair costs, delays, cancellations, and even plane damage. Tonight, Alaska's News Source Investigates is asking DOT leaders responsible for Stevens International safety what they're doing, telling our investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn they're constantly monitoring and reviewing to prevent potentially unsafe conditions, including unique Alaska challenges like permafrost.
We have about 220 acres of runway and about 341 acres of taxiway here.
With just shy of 15,000 people coming through Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport on any given day,
It's a busy airport.
Shannon McCarthy says steadfast procedures are a must to provide quick responses to any issues that might occur. She says issues such as sinking or pooling are largely avoided due to the way in which the runways were built on elevated land, with sophisticated drainage systems running underneath, a model they strive to follow at the roughly 240 other runways inside state-owned airports. But for Ted Stevens, she says the concern is less about water and more about weight.
The biggest impact we have to our runways in terms of wear and tear is actually the jet traffic that we have. We have a lot of cargo jets, which are heavy.
Shannon says Ted Stevens is the second busiest cargo airport in North America and the fourth in the world. Depending on the size and model, cargo planes can weigh anywhere between 100,000 pounds to 1 million. With that much consistent weight hitting the pavement, a certain amount of cracking is inevitable.
It's critical that we do the best we can to keep this moisture out of those cracks.
Tim Lufkin with Airport Operations says the fight to keep cracks sealed is always ongoing and always a top priority. Every summer, crews are sent out to carefully apply sealant into every single crack, followed by asphalt patches to prevent that moisture from making issues worse.
The asphalt will move, but the concrete won't.
But as Tim explained, cracks aren't the only issue.
We also are having a rutting problem.
Rutting is a surface depression in the wheel path of a runway. While Tim says it's a common type of damage, if not addressed quickly, it can have serious impacts on the aircraft. Tim says rutting is often repaired by milling out the damage to remove the deteriorated pavement and replaced with new asphalt mix. And much in the same way sophisticated methods are used to address water drainage, so too are ways of determining rut repair.
Now, my rule of thumb on ruts is if I have 3/4 full cup of coffee and that rut makes it spill, it's time. And
Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.